A bunch of parts came in, and I also found some more stuff in the basement from years or decades past. Let's see what I uncovered. Sales, a store that I first shopped at in the 90s, and I've shopped in 3 of these locations. But what's in this bag? I have not been there in a long time. So the stuff in the bag isn't necessarily all from there, but let me spread all this stuff out. I did get these 470 micro 35 volt electrolytics at sale, and I got these in maybe 2008 or 2009 from what I remember. I had an old LCD monitor that had some problems. When you try to power it on, it might do a bit of whining and it may flicker and fail to power up. So I had looked it up and there was a fix to replace these capacitors, but I bought a whole bunch of extras, so that's what these are. This store carries various products like components as well as kits and some tools. Sometimes I can find specialized chemicals here. Oh, they sell deoxit contact cleaner. And I've gotten some tools like various crimpers here, heat shrink tubing, and sometimes you can find weird stuff here. Maybe they buy up things overstock or old closeout items from other places, and you can probably find a deal sometimes. Water sprinklers. You never know what's going to be here. So every time I stop in, I just kind of look around and see what's going on. And a 3-pack of dual color red-green 5mm LEDs. 3 of them for $2. I don't recognize this. I don't know where I got this. This price tag looks rather generic. Packaged in Canada by TransCanada Electronics in Ajax. Now it looks like I've been into here, but the parts are still here. So I'm just going to take these out, and I might as well get these parts in circulation instead of sitting in the basement doing nothing. A quick battery test. All right, there's green. You reverse it. Yep, red-green. I've always liked these dual color LEDs that are diffused. Some of them, when you choose red or green, but they have the clear case, you can actually see the tiny LED lighting up down in the bottom, and it looks like it just needs to go through some sort of a light pipe. But these on their own, I always like these. I like how this LED matrix sign kind of puts a barrier and keeps all this stuff behind here from encroaching in the workspace. So now there's these 2 different generation looking logos of Active. The packaging for these components said active123.com, so that takes me here. So the only store locations I see anymore are Ottawa, Winnipeg, BC, and Calgary. There used to be at least a couple of stores near me, but now it's just head office. So you can get various chemicals, tools, some components. Here's a current store flyer. I remember when I discovered this store in the 90s, it felt like maybe 1 or 2 steps up from going to Radio Shack in terms of the kinds of things like higher end test equipment, even though it still may not be the best you can get. And in the component selection, well, I clicked on Logic and I see one component here, 74HC595 serial in, serial or parallel out shift register. Is that all? Well, back when I was shopping there, they had more than that, more than Radio Shack, but still hit and miss depending if you're trying to do a specific project. But nowadays, I just stick with mail order. 0.047 microfarad 50 volt military ceramic capacitors, 4 pieces, and they're still in there, so I don't know what this was for. And 5 pieces of a 4 amp 250 volt fast blow fuse. There's only 2 in here now. So these must have been for something specific, but I don't remember. These fuses look funky either way, so even just if I build something more artistic looking, having a fuse like that might be neat. Let's just put these into the parts collection. It looks like I have a 3-pack of dual op-amp BA4558, and those are still in there. Oh, LM317 regulator, $5 for 5. So let's get these parts out of here as well. This stuff most likely was bought in the 90s, maybe the mid-90s, because by 98, I think I started shopping online, buying a lot of things from DigiKey, and these kind of stores had limited stuff, so by the time I was doing more advanced things, I definitely only would have gone somewhere like this if I needed something fast and they happen to have it. from the more recent mail purchases. This says digital voltmeter module, which I don't know what that means. Is it like a panel mount meter thing? I don't know. It looks like a display. It was well wrapped, and it looks like a TFT display. And they protected the pins. That's a good touch. 1.8 inch TFT SPI 128 by 160. I bought this mainly because it's SPI, and the other larger touchscreen TFT display that I've got has all those parallel discrete controls, so I wanted something smaller that I can hook up to and experiment with and see how they work. I paid $3.50 for my 1.8 inch SPI TFT display with the SD card socket. Relatively straightforward module. It says the driver IC is an ST7735. I have not used an SPI display like this, so I'm going to have to learn as I go. It may come in handy as a display on a PCB project even. I can already think of a couple of things I might use a tinier display like this for instead of getting a bigger one. So it's good to have them around, and maybe you never know when you're going to use it. This is glass magnetic, so could be anything. That looks like little reed switches. I ordered these a long time ago because, let me try and find it. A long time ago I bought this module with a magnetic switch on it, and it came like this. So I ordered some replacement parts. Let's check this out. I replaced the reed switch and powered this board, and that's a power light, and here's the on-off indicator. I get intermittent response out of this, so I just now can momentarily make and break contact. So I have to kind of mess with it. It's not consistent. I can't with certainty find any position around here that I can make and break contact. So originally it was in the LED on position, now the LED is off. So it's like it gets stuck and I have to use the magnet to actually pull it apart from a different angle. So I think I'm just going to repurpose this as a comparator board and put something else here. I tried a few more of these with a continuity test. One of them didn't really respond, just like the one on there. This one here works consistently. I can more or less get it to make and break contact. So maybe they are just very low quality parts and you have to get lucky with the one you choose. I spent 99 cents at auction on 10 reed switches that are normally open. And I'm finding that these are very fragile. When I went to go bend the leads on one of these to put it on that module, the thing broke right in my hand. So no wonder it got damaged in shipping when I bought that original module. I'm going to have to say they are not high quality because even when I did not break one, it did not operate reliably. So it looks like you can use them for relatively high voltage applications and up to 0.5 amp. But I don't really have an actual application, especially now seeing how unreliable these particular ones seem to be. So maybe if I'm doing anything that needs magnetic interaction, I'll probably just stick with something Hall effect. This is LED module LED, which may be a light, maybe not. Oh, it's one of these again, another display. I was ordering these earlier in the year, multi-colors. I have red, green, and blue. This doesn't seem to have an indicator of color, so that might mean by default it's red. Usually they came with a color dot. So it also may or may not be directly compatible with the ones I'm using right now. So far I think I have 2 different wirings on these. So if you use a circuit board with the wrong wiring pattern, some of these digits may work fine on one set of software, but then the other panel might have them going up and down instead of across. So let me plug this in and see how it goes. So this one's red and it looks like the right layout. Okay. So I guess I could turn this into a 5-panel long wraparound display with 3 colors in it. All right. but I need to put another connector on this end to be able to chain it, so I'll have to do that later. But for now, let's set it up in the scrapyard here, just like this. I spent $4.50 at auction. I don't know, I think I bought 7 or 8 of these things over a couple of months span, and they were all at auction. So nowadays, they are going for a little more than that, and you can still get them with free shipping. So you can get 4 colors. I did not see yellow available when I bought, so I don't know if I'll be inspired to get a yellow. And since there's different layouts of the circuitry, even if I bought one and I wanted to mix it with the others to make an even longer single display, if it happens to have different circuitry, it may be hard to mix and match these. I think there's 3 or 4 different kinds of wiring, and I think I have at least 2 different kinds. So these are 4 8x8 dot matrix displays operating at 5 volts with a max 7219 controller. Very common. Communicates over SPI. I still have to decide what I'm going to do. Just make a huge display scrolling sign, or maybe make a graphical thing like a game. Who knows? This says 5-inch gauge, and I'm pretty sure I know what that is because I ordered it recently. Yes, this is for taking an image of a contour, so you can push this up against something that you need to trace the outline for. You might have a situation where there's maybe plumbing or something, and you want to have something, whether it's a tile or other piece of trim, that you'd like to go in here and go around the pipe. But to get the contour of this and make it a little easier, you can take an imprint of it with the gauge. Now we can trace that contour, cut it out, and then aside from sloppy cutting, you now should be able to fit this floor tile or trim piece up against the pipe. Maybe you don't need to get this fancy just for a perfectly circular area, but there might be some more obscure thing that you need to conform to, so this may help. 5 to 20 inch shape contour profile gauge. They come in various sizes, colors, and for this 5-inch I paid $2.30. I'm not sure about how stable and how durable it is, like maybe it'll become brittle, but I noticed when I was using this, depending what I'm trying to push this around, the parts right on the edge of what I'm trying to go up against may bend out a bit, so that may cause an issue over time. So you can duplicate the shape of irregular items when you're trying to lay tiles or laminates, carpets. You're just trying to fit something to an irregular item. This is electronics times 1, and it does look like electronics, and it's a module of some kind. 7660, that's a negative voltage supply. ICL 7660 module, mine was at auction for 90 cents. This module is minus 5 volts at 100 milliamps negative voltage charge pump. Although down in the description, input voltage 1.2 to 12 volts, output 12 volt minus 1.22 minus at 100 milliamps max. So I think we're gonna have to look this up and straighten it out. Performs power supply voltage conversions from positive to negative with an input range plus 1.5 to plus 10 volts, getting a complementary minus 1.5 to minus 10 volts. Then there's an A version that can go up to 12 volts. All you need is 2 non-critical capacitors for the charge pump and reservoir. You can also connect them as a voltage doubler and get up to 18.6 volts if you put 10 in. So I'm wondering if I can use this and generate a plus and minus supply for op-amp experiments. If I can manage to get plus and minus 9 volts, and the supply is relatively clean and stable, that'd be a good objective. Well, that's a lot of interesting stuff, including some parts from the past that I'm definitely going to find a use for now that I uncovered them again, and some other more practical stuff. I think I'll be able to put this gauge to use very soon. Thanks for stopping in, seeing what's going on. Special thanks to Patreon supporters. See you on the next one.